This is a Fox News alert. Tens of thousands of immigrant children constantly streaming from Central America into Texas, and they are crossing that border alone. There are no parents. So what is going on in South Texas? KFOX reporter Joshua Zuber is live at the Mexico-El Paso border. Joshua, tell me what's going on now.
Yeah, hey, good evening, Greta from El Paso here. El Paso's Congressman Beto O'Rourke confirming to us this afternoon that we are, in fact, getting another plane full of immigrants, at least one of them being flown into here. And we've had this happen a few times, Greta. We're talking about the last couple of weeks. We've had a total of 4 planefuls of migrants coming from Central America, fleeing violence from there. They're being processed by, of course, federal immigration officials, and then they're being released here to church groups. The Annunciation House, that's one of them here, and they're helping give them shelter, food and water, health care, among other things. And then they're helping them get to relatives, family members here in the United States, a lot of them saying they have places to go. And then, of course, from there, they're facing deportation hearings.
Josh, just so I understand, the planes aren't originating in Central America. The planes are collecting these illegal immigrants in the United States and flying them to El Paso. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. They're being flown in from what's called the Rio Grande Valley here. That's about a good 12-hour drive here from El Paso, Texas. They're being flown in here because resources there, the immigration officials, they are completely overwhelmed by the influx of immigrants that they've seen, including unaccompanied minors like we've been talking about here.
Joshua, thank you. And from the border to Capitol Hill today, Republicans on the Homeland Security Committee blasting the Obama administration's handling of the border crisis.
This administration is inviting illegal aliens to come to this country, and I find that intolerable.
We're not the ATM machine.
We don't have a fence down there, and if we did, we wouldn't have 5-year-old children coming across.
If you knew that up to 65,000 unaccompanied children were going to be coming to this country, you should have been doing something about it.
It is sickening to watch these children sitting on the top of these trains coming up thousands of miles through Mexico.
You can't send your children up here and let them stay.
And Representative Jason Chaffetz joins us. Nice to see you, sir.
Thanks, Greta.
And I should point out to the viewers that 14 months ago you were here and you told us essentially that this problem was going on. So here we are 14 months later. Now what?
We were down on the border, and at the time there were about 6,000 unaccompanied minors coming across the border. Now estimate that number will be over 50,000. Next year, over 100,000. And they had the gall from the administration to come before the Homeland Security Committee and say that they had adequate staffing. They obviously don't have adequate staffing when we're only able to secure less than 10% of the border, and tens of thousands of minors unaccompanied are flowing across the border.
All right. So what happens? I mean, at some point, I mean, you know, it gets. I mean, I assume that at some point it gets more catastrophic than it already is.
Well, what's happening is these kids will come with a note in their pocket, and they'll say that this is the relative or the person they want to go to. They claim asylum, which is being highly abused. In fact, we have an internal document from Homeland Security that estimates upwards of 70% of the people that come here are doing it fraudulently in their claims of asylum. But then when they claim asylum, they get this hearing, and when they get a hearing, it could be years from now. In Phoenix, if you claim asylum, you're not going to get a court date until after 2020.
So what should President Obama be doing or not doing?
We have got to lock down that border. But I talked to one of the Border Patrol agents. In fact, he's the head of one of the unions, and he's going to testify before our Judiciary Committee tomorrow, where we're having another hearing on this. If that child comes across the border and we're going to take them to the relative, we should, of course, reunite that family, and then we should deport them.
Deport who? The child or the whole
family? Bring them back, the whole family, and take them back to Guatemala, Honduras, wherever it might be.
Well, maybe the rest of the family. I mean, the family at this point, there may be some Americans in that family, maybe children that are born in America or whatever.
But here's what they're not doing. They're not adequately vetting who we're turning these children over to. Some of them, we fear, are part of drug cartels. Maybe there's human or sex trafficking that's going on. What sort of vetting are they doing? We asked last week, and our staff talked to Homeland Security and asked them how they vet the people that they turn these kids over to. They wouldn't tell us.
So what's going to, I mean, these children, I mean, they're children.
They are. I mean, some of these kids are 4 and 5 years old. Some of them are 8 or 12 years old. I mean, it is a huge, massive crisis. And
I assume President Obama's going to say he doesn't have the money to build a fence.
Well, they're asking for a lot more resources now, but I was on this show 14 months ago saying this is a problem now, and they didn't do anything about it. They exacerbated the situation by enticing people here, telling them they wouldn't be deported, and that's in part why they're flowing north, because they think they're going to get their golden ticket to stay in the United States of America.
Congressman, thank you, sir.
Thank you.